Guess who's back?
Back again.
Box pod is back.
You know who isn't back?
Tell a friend who.
Lando.
Oh.
He's getting fucking shafted, he is.
Anyway,
welcome back to Box. I'm Sam.
I'm Dom.
We're going to roll the credits, bro, because it's only every now and then.
So right, what
episode 22, it's Canada. What the fuck was Canada?
Do you know what? I think I drank a little bit too much during the race.
Yeah, bro, you were cooked, you know.
I wasn't too bad, but it was
you were cooked.
As we got towards the end of the race, I was like, I don't actually remember anything that happened. So I went back home and watched it. I watched it on Monday, and it was good. I remember all I remember from the entire race was watching the McLaren's fight towards the end. So that was fun.
So what are we talking about today?
So we're going to go through a kind of, not review, but we'll go through a talk through of Canada, which obviously entails George's first win of the season, Antonelli's first podium, the whole papaya rules thing, and the FIA president, who we've struggled to pronounce his name on the last 3 episodes, and I felt like we should address that.
Yeah. So before we get started,
well,
MBS.
Let's dive straight in on that last point, really.
Mohammed Ben Sulayem.
Sulayem. So Sulayem.
That's what I said, Sulayem.
Yeah. It's
he was, to be honest, I didn't realise he had a background in motorsport.
Neither did I until I did a tiny little bit of research.
I'll be totally honest, mate. I thought he was just a rich fuck.
Yeah. Well, that too.
I mean, that's on it. To be honest, mate, you don't really see a poor successful motorsport driver. They're not.
It's very uncommon for them to
come from. Motorsport has 2 types of people. Us,
yeah,
like zero money because you want to race, and people who get paid to do it.
Yeah, Lance Stroll.
No need.
Anyway, so yeah, Mohammed is a former rally driver and a good one at that too. 60 wins and 14 titles in his professional career. One of the most successful rally drivers from the Middle East, and he ended his pro rally career in 2005 and became the president of the Emirates Motorsports organisation. He did try and become the FIA president originally back in 2013, but withdrew for some reason, couldn't figure that out, which eventually led to him being the president in 2021. So in the tiny little bit of research that I was doing for him, I found a 2001 Top Gear interview where he states he owns 365 cars.
Fuck me, that's a car for every day.
Yeah. He's obviously a rally driver. And in this interview, it was obviously hosted by Jeremy Clarkson, and he owned at the time a Ferrari F40, F50,
cool.
Porsche 959.
Super cool.
And a Jaguar XJ220.
Sorry, do you want to say that correctly?
What?
It's not a Jaguar.
It's a Jag.
It's a Jag.
No, not for, he doesn't strike me as a Jag driver though.
Of course he does. He definitely drove that Jag.
Paintings and silverware in the boot.
Yeah. They're not stolen; they're borrowed.
Oh yeah. Well, it's those 4 particular cars.
I'm just going to warm up the Jag.
Those 4 particular cars that he he showcases in that interview are, at the time, back in 2001, some of the rarest and fastest cars in the world. During that interview as well, on that episode of Top Gear, he talked about some teenagers, because he was going on about his fame back in the day, and obviously in the Middle East. And he talked about he was leaving his house the one day, drove out of his driveway, and there was some like 17, 18-year-olds in a Nissan Skyline at the time. You know, just casual, like you know, Middle East shit. Like, yeah.
Like the mad thing is, right, you know how unobtainable a Skyline is?
Mm-hmm. Not unobtainable, but very hard.
We're lucky that we have one within the collection.
But even in 2001, though, I would maybe a little bit less or more obtainable.
Yeah, 2001, they're more obtainable because you could actually buy them new.
Like Fast and Furious hadn't happened yet either, and put the cool tax on them.
That is true, actually.
Yeah. So Mohammed didn't want to race. He told them, you know, it's not the time, it's not the place, all that malarkey. But the kids wouldn't back off, being persistent, like, come on, let's go. So he literally just floored it, the kids caught back up eventually and was like, "Hey!" And then they fucked off and went their own way. So.
He also went on to say, "I'm not that rich in an interview, brother."
Yeah,
brother, you had an F40, which is what, 7 million quid at the minute.
He was going on. He was like, I've got some nice cars, and some people they have lots of money. He said, "I'm not that rich," but and even Clarkson sat in the passenger seat of his F50 at the time, like driving up and down these roads, was like, "Brother, what?"
You've got an F40 V12 Rolling Thunder, an F50 V12 Rolling Thunder, a 959, which is like god tier Porsche, and an XJ220. I don't know why the XJ220 is deemed as like rare, but
it's fucking rare as rocking horse shit, mate. XJ220.
Yeah, actually,
it's probably rarer, or at least as rare as the Ferraris. They didn't make very many.
Do you know what it is? It's because it's the Jag, and you just don't associate Jag being rare.
No, it's.
But yeah, thinking about it is
one of the rarest things to ever come out of Coventry.
Rarer than education.
Well,
no, that's an Eton.
Yeah. Anyway,
moving swiftly on.
So, in some F1 slight bit of news, I guess. So I was meant to dig further into this and do some more, but to be honest, we'll save it for next week, and we'll go through it in depth, because that's what
2026 race calendar basically has been confirmed. Is what Dom's trying to say. Which
all the races, all the dates, everything's been confirmed. So,
which will make our life easier, because we can actually plan the podcast a bit better.
Yeah, I think we've lost a track and gained a track, but it's still a 24 race season. So
that's good. That's good.
Some bits and bobs about McLaren that I saw in the news. Basically, these are from screenshots that I saw over the week, where I was like, we'll talk about that on the pod.
Oscar enjoyed a brisket-fueled pit stop at Terry Black's barbecue in Austin during a break before Austria.
So, yeah.
Fuck yeah. Bro, you know what? One thing I will say, my brother knows a thing or two about barbecue these days, since he's lived in Texas and he was in Austin. And honestly, apparently Texas barbecue is just a different level, you buy meat by the pound.
I can believe it, yeah.
Like as obviously we buy meat by the kilo. Well, you literally go and you're like, can I have 3 pounds of ribs? Yeah. It's not like you buy a rack of ribs. It's like, can I have 3 pounds of like barbecue chicken or barbecue brisket? Bro, that's America wonders why diabetes is a real thing.
I mean, I'm not really much of like a brisket kind of guy, but
nah, bro.
But I'd try a like proper American.
Do you like hickories?
Yeah,
bro. Hickories brisket slaps,
But
I don't know why. I could just see Oscar though, like just living his best life, like just whamming,
ribbing each and like living his best life.
Nah, tomahawk, bro. Tomahawk steak.
That is the way.
Meanwhile, Lando and Brad Pitt made headlines at the New York premiere of the F1 movie, with Norris walking the red carpet solo amidst gossip about his relationship, and Pitt bringing model Ines de Ramon.
That's the end of that headline anyway.
I mean, Brad Pitt with a model, no shocker there. Lando, what's going on? It's all going.
I was going to say, because like I think the last we heard of Lando's missus was she got a little bit of like screen time at one of the races, and the kind of graphic that they put over the top, they just put model. They didn't put like Lando Norris's girlfriend or partner or whatever. So she's a bit of a weapon as well. So I've got to.
Do you know what though? Have you seen the interview? Carlos signs on the red carpet, like after the movie. Like they're like, Carlos, what do you think of the movie? He went, no, it's okay if you're a pure F1 fan, take it with a pinch of salt, because some things are exaggerated. I'm there. I'm like, yo, imagine how fucking vexed are that they got all these F1 drivers, and then they're just there like, yeah, everything's a bit exaggerated. Lewis Hamilton was ready to throw fucking hands at him.
Well, movie comes out, by the time this comes out, it'll be out Monday.
Yeah, when are we going to go see it?
Monday.
Oh, sick.
Duh.
I forgot it was Monday, yeah.
So, yeah.
However, continuing on
more race-orientated news, Red Bull lodged a formal protest against George Russell's win in Canada, disputing how when the safety car was deployed in the closing stages, it was something about him brake checking him or something, or braking erratically, but we'll get into that as we go through the race coverage. Mercedes, meanwhile, called Red Bull's action petty, small and embarrassing. That's basically Christian Horner in a nutshell, isn't it?
you know though, it's like, Red Bull complaining about a safety car. You didn't complain in 2021 though, did you? Did you?
Well, I think they were complaining at the fact that like Max was right behind George, and George basically slammed his brakes on to keep them warm. That's what he argued, and the telemetry came back after the investigation to say, like, you know, it was nothing out of the ordinary. Like, yes, he did slam his brakes on, but it weren't in a. It was just in a bad way. He was just cycling his brakes. Yeah. So and like honestly, like Verstappen had a hissy fit over it, which I understand. Heat at the moment, if that was to happen, you'd be. I understand his distress on the radio about it. I get it, but it's also Red Bull launching the investigation into it is a bit. It's just Red Bull, mate. It's just fucking. There are a certain bunch of people over there. Yeah. Like, however, on a much more positive, Kimi, third in Canada, and also the third youngest pole finisher in history behind Vettel. Yeah, you read that right. Behind Vettel and Stroll taking the top spot with Verstappen. 18 years, 7 months and 15 days. Stroll, 18 years, 7 months and 27 days. And Antonelli, 18 years, 9 months and 21 days. I don't know why I put Vettel in there. Vettel has nothing to do with it as far as I'm aware. I think that was just me typoing. Did you mean to say Verstappen? I was about to say Verstappen, Stroll and Kimi Antonelli, the three youngest podium sitters in Formula One history. It just feels weird seeing Stroll. I do, you know, we throw shade a lot at Stroll, but I do feel he has got it in him. He's just, well, clearly he's got it in him, but it's one of them ones. Now, quali indeed. Qualifying, Dom, go for it. So the only real note that I had to take off from qualifying was during Q1, Isaac Hadjar was on his cool-down lap when Carlos Sainz came up behind him on hot lap. Hadjar didn't move aside, impeding Sainz at turn 6, turn 7, which contributed in Sainz being knocked out in Q1. That's fucked, you know. Yeah. It happens. Yeah, it does happen, but it's... For me, I know there's more. So yeah, I'll let you read it and then... Okay. So after reviewing telemetry, footage and a driver testimony, the FIA imposed a 3-place grid penalty on Hadjar. So Hadjar originally qualified in 9th but started at 12th on Sunday. Sainz called it a massive impeding that destroyed his qualifying chance. He dropped to 17th as a result. Hadjar claimed to have been told Sainz was on an aborted lap and didn't realise he was on a push lap. He maintains that it was a miscommunication. Understandable. So, yeah. Right, so here's my take on this. I'm not actually going to throw the shade at Hadjar for that one because here's a couple of things. So if he maintained that Sainz on an aborted lap, if that's what he was told. Yeah, exactly. But also, like, we're going about the FIA and everything. Obviously, why wasn't he blue flagged? Yeah. Why, say, for example, as Sainz is coming round, why wasn't he blue flagged off the racing line? Yeah, straight away. Like, straight away, just get off the racing line. It's one of those where... Like that, I feel Sainz in that one, because I imagine the frustration of when you are on a fast, hot lap. Well, like I said, he qualified, 17th? Which is shit, you know. So, I'll tell you though, we've got to talk. Q1? We've got to talk about the absolute frigging unbelievable performance from Mercedes this weekend. Yeah, well, I mean, George really pushed this weekend, and I didn't feel George has been giving it everything. And like, obviously, when your dad did your dad put George straight to podium? Yeah, I think he put George P1. Yeah. And obviously, I remember saying, I was like, that's a fucking brave move. But I can't believe it. He fucking called it on that one, you know. I didn't put him in the fucking predictions, but he was in there. Yeah, like, he did give it me. It's one of them ones where, for me, like, it's like George really, and Kimi, and I voted him driver of the day as soon as he come up to vote. I was like, but it was also like, I think qualifying was really good. I actually couldn't believe what was going on with the McLarens. Yeah. It was exciting. Yeah, you know what? And it was really good. So I've touched, there's some notes in that in the race highlights. But moving on to the actual race highlights, obviously. So my old man's prediction was Russell, Piastri, Hulkenberg. Yeah, I remember Hulkenberg. That was, because I remember saying, I just said to him in person, I was like, Paul, what the fuck are you smoking, you know? The fuck are you smoking? But yeah, honestly, mate, like,
moving back to it, obviously, like straight, I'd say it was.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't actually that much chaos, but it was a good first turn.
No, it was, to be fair. It was good to watch.
Yeah,
definitely.
like it was an exciting race at all of it as well. There's always something happening.
So, I mean, in that first lap and the first couple of corners, the only real movement, I'd say, in the top 5, 6 was Antonelli moved up to third, overtaking Piastri. That was the biggest kind of, whoa, yeah. So that kind of...
Yeah, though, you got to give it to Antonelli. Like, Piastri's the current like championship leader.
Yeah.
And Antonelli took him.
Yeah, I reckon if there hadn't been a safety car and Norris hadn't have caused an accident, I reckon the pressure would have been on Antonelli a lot more than what it already was at that point, because again, I've got some notes on it, but he was catching up. Well, both the McLarens were catching Antonelli real quick. Yeah, so,
I'm just happy to see him get a podium.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying he would have had a lot more pressure. So, but anyway,
more importantly, talking about Alex Albon though and his new side career.
Yeah, lawn mowing.
Yeah, like so. If you want a good gardener, apparently Alex Albon's the guy for it.
Yeah, he was. No, it was Oscar on. Was he first race of the season, Australia?
Oh yeah, when he reverses out.
He kind of spun out on the grass and or was it? I'm sure Lando had a lawn mowing incident as well.
I remember when Oscar came off because he was like, I've got to thank Jeremy Clarkson for teaching me how to reverse.
Yeah, that was fun.
How to reverse off road.
Got to do what you got to do, ain't you?
You got to do what you got to do.
So, other than Albon kind of cutting a corner and going off, it was a pretty clean first lap.
Yeah.
No real drama. The medium tyres for the entire race really seemed like a terrible shape for pretty much everyone. They were all moaning. Most of the people that were on mediums were pitting 13 laps in. Which,
like normally to either go on a set of hards or softs.
Yeah, so everyone that started on hards kind of held off. So Ocon made a comment before the race saying that the deg on the tyres was like a cliff face, so you had absolutely no warning and then you just kind of lost all grip. I don't know if that was about a specific tyre compound
or just Canada.
Just a Canada, but yeah.
That's interesting, because obviously, like, again, we've done lots of slidey action.
You know when your tyres are on the way.
You feel when your tyres are cooked.
Yeah.
You feel when your tyres and your brakes are going.
Easy.
Like, as opposed to, I mean, that must be fucking terrifying,
Just like grip.
No grip. I mean, to be fair, I remember when we were out going sideways and your tyres went from semi-slick to race slicks. Very
from semi-slick to cord.
To be fair, though, you had some good runs out of them.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was some good runs. But yeah, honestly, like, it's... I couldn't imagine how terrifying that would be, I've been on track when, like, doing grip stuff when my tyres have started to go, and that scares me. So imagine, like, going from nothing to, like, just basically zero grip.
And it's like getting too much heat in your tyres as well.
They'll overcycle.
Yeah,
So, like, I mean, obviously we expected it to be a wet race as well. That's what we predicted. And obviously it was a fucking glorious day in Canada.
It was. The track surface temperature average throughout the race 49 degrees, which is quite high, all things considered, really.
I'm assuming that's Celsius.
Yeah.
That's fucking hot,
That's surface temperature. So
yeah. That's still like crazy hot,
Well, you wouldn't want to put your hand on that.
No, you wouldn't. It's great for tyres because you'll literally melt them. Well, it's good for tyres like the hard compound, but yeah, softs and mediums are getting fucked.
Well, I think that's why the mediums didn't do too well. And apparently Mercedes don't do too well when the track temperature's quite high, apparently.
Well, that's clearly bollocks.
It's been an ongoing thing for a while now. But anyway.
However, talking about Alex Albon and Williams' pit strategy.
Yeah, so he was still out on mediums at lap 22, which is kind of unheard of, really, considered everyone else a box. But he was called in and he was verbal about his annoyance with that on the radio and didn't box, understandably, assuming they wanted to do a one-stop.
Who was it who missed the pit box?
Oh, God, I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, I swear to God, I saw somebody literally like just drive through and miss the pit box. Because all the team were just there like, the fuck?
Okay. No idea. During this time, while Albon was out on mediums, though, he was putting in lap times of 1 minute 20, when everyone else is putting in like 1:15s. So
yeah, so his tyres were cooked. He was losing 5 seconds a lap.
Eventually, he pitted at lap 25.
I mean, what was he on mediums?
Yeah,
that's a fucking
25 laps on mediums.
That's a fucking shit.
So,
like, where's what 1 point? How many miles is Canada? Do we know?
1 and a bit. I haven't written it down anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's like 50 miles. If it's 50 miles at at crazy speeds with crazy heat cyclings, that's going to absolutely shag your tyres.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? Fair play to Alex Albon fighting that out there.
Yeah. He did well.
And Williams let him down.
Williams did a Ferrari on him.
Yeah, Williams did an absolute Ferrari on him. However, Norris, he did lead.
He did lead for a short while.
Yeah. But didn't box till lap 26.
No, he was leading lap 26. He was running hards at that point. I don't know.
That's mean. Like, he didn't lead, but yeah.
Russell inevitably went on to pass Leclerc to take P2, who Leclerc was still yet to pit. So Russell just pitted at that point as he was running fresh hards. So
yeah.
Leclerc again goes to pit at lap 29, and Verstappen then moves up to third.
Yeah, you know, Verstappen, I can't take it away. He did drive quite a clean race.
It was, well, he kind of fucking had to, really, didn't he?
But it was good. It was, I mean, he was still a little bitch at times, but he was...
It's just Verstappen.
Yeah.
Norris went on to take his first stop of the race at lap 30 with only a 1.8 second lead on Russell. So Norris, at that point, Norris is leading. Russell's 1.8 seconds behind and has already pitted. So, but Norris did start P7, I think. So, yeah.
What made me laugh of the whole day, and we'll get onto it more, was your sister, was the bet between you and your sister.
I don't even remember what that was.
If Norris gets onto the podium.
Oh, if Norris gets onto the podium, he gains lots of respect from me.
Yeah. And your sister was like, Dom, Norris is in P1. He's like, yeah, he hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, he hasn't pitted yet, and Russell's less than 2 seconds behind him on fresh tyres. So, yeah.
Love your Shannon, but still, you ain't living that down.
Yeah, no. And then, well, look what happened. Anyway, Norris is, as Norris leaves the pit, the standings then at that point was Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli and Piastri, with Norris taking fifth with Leclerc and Hamilton in the Ferraris behind him.
Ferrari are starting to get their legs in, I think, you know.
I saw some statistics, and I think their average finishing point is 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
Like throughout the season so far, which ain't bad considered.
No, it ain't. Like, it's a brand new, I think 2026 is going to be their year.
Yeah.
Because they're all starting with a proper fresh slate.
Yeah.
Like new cars, obviously, hopefully Lewis will still be there.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
One of the highlights of the race for me, that I did actually remember this though, was Aston Martin telling Alonso, be gentle on entry to turn 3 and turn 8, gentle entry 3 and 8.
And he was like, we're racing, not testing.
Yeah.
Which, fucking fair play to him. They are racing. Like they were trying to tell him like how to like drive the car, and he's like, we're fucking racing, I can't drive like that.
Yeah, if you want me to do well, then yeah. But
like, he's like, I remember that, like, Alonso is getting more and more like Kimi Raikkonen energy, you know.
I think, yeah.
He's at the point where he knows his racing career is almost over, so he just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
I think both of the Ferrari drivers should take a leap out of his book as well and just communicate clearly and remember that the team is essentially in charge, but you're the one driving the car. And
exactly.
If you want to do something, or you think, like, I'm not saying if you think better, then do better, but
sometimes, like, to be honest, that's why Sainz did so well at Ferrari, because he'd tell them the strategy.
Yeah.
He'd be like, he went, we should do this.
That's kind of what it comes down to. So.
And to be honest, like, Sainz is a fucking, like, when his race career is over, if he doesn't
maybe it's just like Spaniards, they just don't give a fuck. They're just like, no, this is how we do it.
Maybe, yeah.
So
you need the Spanish driver now just to
put the theory to a test.
But anyway, continuing on.
Yeah, George Russell is 5 seconds ahead of Verstappen.
Fucking flying, you know.
That's a P1 and P2. So Verstappen, while in P2, pits again at lap 38 from hards to. I didn't write what he went to, so I'm going to assume
softs.
No,
or mediums.
Mediums.
We don't
hards.
know.
We don't know. I didn't write it down. Antonelli pits the following lap, and Russell was called to pit at lap 42, coming out 3.6 seconds ahead of Verstappen still.
You know what? You got to fucking give Mercedes that. Like, to box a car, to get it into the pits, pitted, and back out.
Still ahead. So
And still
he
ahead,
lost, 1.4 seconds.
In 1.4 seconds.
So
That's fucking fast.
I think, well, it wasn't that they got ahead of him or they didn't pit him. It was, I think they managed to do it because Verstappen was stuck in a bit of traffic. But
No, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's exceptional race strategy.
yeah, 110%.
But that's me, like, but yeah, so top five at lap 45 was Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen.
Piastri pits 3.6 seconds ahead of Leclerc at lap 46. Antonelli is ahead as he exits the pit, putting him down 5 places. So obviously I've noted that because Piastri was leading the race at that point.
Yep.
Lap 46, Stroll and Gasly were fighting on the last 2 corners, and Gasly goes off claiming that Stroll pushed him. He didn't crash or anything, or
He just came off the
I
racing
think he
line.
lost like half a second in his chase for Stroll. So
Yeah.
Norris leading the race again, 5.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc, pits at lap 47, leaving Leclerc the only one in the top 10 to pit, remaining for the race, that is.
Yeah.
Norris comes out 6th with Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli and Piastri ahead. So shortly after, lap 48, Albon causes a yellow flag, making it a back-to-back retirement for him. Luckily, he manages to pull over behind a barrier at the hairpin, and the
Race resumes.
green flag resumes.
You know
the race.
what? It's been a bit of a shit time for Alex Albon, because I remember saying to you a couple of episodes ago that Alex Albon is actually looking solid.
He's looking good, but he's just not having the best of luck.
No, he's having...
I think, it was down to a power unit issue, which was the same as last week, or the week.
It's such a shame, because I really want to see Williams.
Williams need to be on the podium a bit more.
Yeah, they do.
So I could be wrong, might need to look into it, but I think the last time Williams was on the podium was with Lance Stroll.
That's fucking mad, innit?
So
That is fucking mad.
I could be wrong. I'll look into it for next week.
Citation needed.
In fact, I'll do a little special section next week because it's another filler week because there's no race this Sunday. But
It is Sunday Fun Day, though.
it is Sunday Fun Day. We'll do it last time team was on the podium, if at all. So shouldn't take too long.
That'd be a good one.
Anyway,
Continuing on.
At what do we do? Lap 52, Leclerc states that the medium is a good tyre for him. So I noted that because I noticed everyone was everyone was moaning about the medium tyres, saying that they were shit, and Leclerc was like, no, the medium's a good tyre for me. Called into box 1.5 seconds ahead of Russell, who didn't pit for the rest of the race. So maybe they pitted under the safety car, I can't remember, but he comes out 6th ahead of Hamilton with Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli, Piastri and Norris ahead, almost exactly how the race was to finish, almost.
Yeah.
Lap 55, Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli and Piastri are all putting in times of around 114.8, but Norris is putting in times of about 114.3, notably pushing and catching up Piastri. Lawson pits to retire the car at lap 57. His engineer says, really sorry mate, it's a hard day and this is the cherry on the top, but we've had to take care of this power unit. What that means exactly, I don't know, but moving swiftly on to Piastri fighting Antonelli once again.
Yeah.
As I said, Antonelli really had his work cut out for him. Like he well and truly deserved his win.
Antonelli, for me, obviously Antonelli, he's one of the rookies, but he's the best one. He's the best rookie.
100%.
I know, obviously we spoke about Isaac Ajah as well, but I think Antonelli is a different league at the moment. Antonelli is driving, he's on the podium, he's driving now like an experienced Formula 1 driver.
Well, he's following in the footsteps of just like Max Verstappen was, in all fairness.
And Hamilton.
Yeah. So...
the thing is, Hamilton was basically was what Antonelli was. He went through Mercedes Young Driver Program, well, McLaren.
It was McLaren, yeah.
McLaren was McLaren Mercedes then, but then obviously became Mercedes Petronas and all that shit. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I do feel that like Antonelli, we are looking at a serious contender for the world champion.
Yeah. So Piastri is 1.4 seconds behind Antonelli, but Norris is only 0.6 seconds behind Piastri. We know what that's building up to, evidently. Norris takes fastest lap, and at this point, I wasn't aware of this when watching this, but Norris's engineer tells him to attack Piastri while he doesn't have DRS going into lap 63. So lap 66 sees Antonelli still in third position with both McLarens having DRS behind him. Norris takes P4 from Piastri momentarily, and Piastri gains it back. And as we go into turn 1 of lap 67, he taps the rear tyre on the outside of Piastri as he attempts to overtake on the outside, causing him to lose his front wing, and inevitably he hits the barrier, causing his front left wheel to detach, causing the safety car out.
Right, so obviously the first thing he said during that was, yep, I'm sorry, it's all my bad, all my fault, unlucky, sorry, stupid for me.
That was literally word for word.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones where for me, like, McLaren has the iconic papaya rules.
Yeah.
Where you can
race each other.
You can race through, but race through the cleanly, don't challenge, don't put the cars at risk, don't put yourselves at risk.
Yeah. Well, so if Norris would have took the place from Piastri, would have had 2 more points than what Piastri would have. So
for me,
he was racing for a 2-point advantage, which at the time he was 10 points behind him in the standings. So
yeah, it's
and that went from him earning, I think, 12 points to no points.
And I think it was such a, well, it wasn't a silly mistake, it was a fucking stupid mistake. Like Lando Norris is a world-class Formula 1 driver. Yeah. Like he still potentially is. I mean, I do really feel like it's Piastri's championship now, but he really is still a potential contender for the world champion.
As I keep saying about Norris, is he's got a tendency for bottling it under copious amounts of pressure.
Yeah.
And that was pressure, but it was only pressure that he was putting on himself, because if he would have just took it on the chin and finished behind Piastri, or waited for a slightly better chance.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they were backward and forward between each other, but like for me, Lando should have just accepted, okay, I'm not getting past him here, let me just hold off, go again.
He was evidently faster, without a shadow of a doubt. With Piastri trying to fight Antonelli as well, they could have worked together to take the podium from Antonelli. If what they could have done, for example, I know it's all hindsight and we're not racing drivers and all that, but from that point, so it was lap 67, so there was only 3 laps left. But in those 3 laps, potentially, what they could have done is, if they would have worked together, Piastri could have been putting the pressure on Antonelli, and while they're waiting for Antonelli to make a mistake, which he probably would have done, being under that much pressure for a podium.
What used to happen with like George and Lewis when they put pressure on somebody, and they just slip them.
Yeah, you have one person putting the pressure on, waiting for the mistake, and then when the mistake comes, the person from far behind just goes,
just slips through, and then
which is exactly
then creates a gap for the other person to slip them again.
Well, that's what Hulkenberg did early on in the race. I don't know why I didn't note that down, because again, I remember that. But Hulkenberg, it was I think it was Albon and Gasly.
Yeah,
were fighting. Albon or Colapinto maybe. I know it was Alpine and a Williams. They were fighting for a position, and while they were fighting, something went wrong and they made a mistake, and Hulkenberg just went yoik and took the position off both of them. So, and that's exactly what they could have done. But if they would have worked together, that's what they could have done. But instead, they fucked up. So obviously we get to the point where Verstappen calls out Russell for erratically braking under the safety car, which there was an investigation into it and didn't work out in Red Bull's favour. So and inevitably the race
ended under a safety car. Matt, you know what? It was a disappointing end to the race.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was a bit upsetting that obviously the incident with Lando was kind of the last exciting thing to happen.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, that is...
But you know what, obviously...
That's the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix.
That's the coverage of it anyway. But I think the notable things to take from that, obviously, was Russell's first win of the season.
Fourth win in total. So I think he
podium in Formula One as well.
Yeah, so I think he's on... I might not be... I don't know if it's bang on or not, but I'm sure that he's on par with Lando for race wins now.
Yeah.
So...
I will say, going back to Lando's accent though, it was your sister's face, you know, so fucking funny.
She was devastated.
She was absolutely fucking devastated, mate. She couldn't believe it.
She, well, to be fair, Lando drove really well that entire race.
He did. Lando's pretty consistent. Sometimes he just fucks up.
Yeah, I think the entire race he drove well, and the fight that he was having with Piastri, it was great entertainment. So for us as fans, fantastic. Keep it up. Just don't crash next time. Yeah. Other notable events from the race, obviously it was Antonelli's first podium in F1. I'm certain, I was hearing a lot of the coverage from the presenters on the F1 saying that he'd never done a lap at Canada before.
Which is fucking imagine it's your first time ever driving Canada.
Like, obviously he's going to have had a shit ton of sim time, but it's...
Oh yeah, of course. The thing is though, it's like, if you watch the Gran Turismo movie.
I don't think I have yet, you know.
About obviously what Nissan did back in the day.
I can't say I have.
Basically what Nissan did, I don't know if you don't know this, they basically found like loads of like the top players of like Gran Turismo, like for Le Mans, and basically got them and just recruited them in as sim drivers. And like all these drivers are like faster because they had no fear.
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of, that sounds stupid, it's kind of ones where like, if the only experience Piastri's ever had of Canada is in a sim.
Antonelli.
Sorry, I said Piastri, yeah, Antonelli. The only, sorry, it's because I saw Piastri there. The only experience Antonelli's ever had of Canada is, say, for example, in a sim, then the fear's not really there, I guess.
I suppose.
So like, he's not as afraid to push as hard because he doesn't know where it can go wrong.
Yeah. It's very true. Very true.
There is that. Obviously, it was the first season, it was the first race of the whole season where there hasn't been a McLaren on the podium either.
Yes. Well, it was also Mercedes' first double podium since Vegas 24.
Again, Hülkenberg in the points, though, again.
Yep.
Finishing 8th.
McLaren's team principal, Andrea Stella, describes Lando's crash as unnecessary and damaging. But after watching the full interview with him, he was like, if he hadn't have admitted fault straight away and like admitted that it was a silly mistake, and you know it was an honest silly mistake.
Yeah, he was like shit.
Yeah,
you know what it is. If he didn't own it there and then, you know for a fact he would have been getting fucking bollocked. He probably got bollocked anyway, but
he'd have been getting his bottom off Zach Brown.
You know, I can't wait for the Drive to Survive episode.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's going to make some. Yeah.
Like what we didn't see on the broadcast, and it's reminded me of something I was at Ferrari that I was speaking to Jack about at F1. Like obviously Hamilton hit a groundhog during lap 13 and damaged his car. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
How many fucking groundhogs were there in this race?
They like Canada for some reason. Yeah, there's a big open like piece of water nearby, isn't there, as well? So, but he didn't find out till the end of the race, and obviously I think he's vegan and all that. Understandably, he was devastated, but absolutely obliterated the underneath of the front underneath the car. Which
did they suck his wing or?
No, they didn't know until the end of the race.
Oh but shit!
It came in and like they were like, yeah, that's fucked. So, and that was lap 13.
Do you know, fucking fair play to him finishing where he did then?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, though, obviously we spoke about the track temps, but also I think a little bit of wholesome stuff was George wrote Happy Father's Day on the bottle of champagne before the podium celebrations.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice thing.
That was something I kind of caught that just as I was, when I rewatched it and I saw him writing on it, and obviously they always sign like the champagne bottle, but I saw him writing Happy Father's Day and I was like, oh.
That's nice. Like, you know, what a fucking Father's Day present, frigging your son winning his first GP of the season.
That's it. So
like,
that would have been, so that's 5 podium finishes this year for George so far, which is more than last year, and we're only 10 races in.
Yeah, but obviously race results.
Rock, paper, scissors in.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors, shit.
Okay, you can take the odds.
You love scissoring.
Just
Scissor me timbers.
I've done this slightly different, just to save space and paper.
Yeah.
I'm sure you understand where we're going. So let's roll.
Right, I'm taking. Oh, Joe taking even, Jay. P1 we had George Russell.
P2 Max Verstappen.
P3 the rookie Kimi Antonelli.
P4 Oscar Piastri.
P5 Charles Leclerc.
P6 Lewis Hamilton.
P7 Alonso.
P8 Nico Hülkenberg.
P9 Esteban Ocon.
P10 Carlos Sainz.
P10 Ollie Behrman.
P11.
Yeah, P11 Ollie Behrman. You know what?
I knew it'd catch you somehow. P12 Yuki Tsunoda.
P13 Franco Colapinto, who does not sound like a fucking Italian name.
No, but you just can't help but say it in an Italian way, can you?
Bro.
I'm exactly the same.
P14.
P14 is Gabriel Bortoleto.
P15 because I don't want to wreck the compressors again in the mics. Pierre Gasly.
Boring. P16 Isaac Ajah.
P17 Lance Stroll.
And then we get into our DNFs with Lance Stroll 18. Lance Stroll, what? No.
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris in 18th.
19 Liam Lawson.
And last but certainly not least, Alex Albon.
Right, so let's talk about our predictions. For me, we were miles off. I got Verstappen.
You got Verstappen in third, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You put him in second.
That's what I mean. So I said Piastri, Norris, Verstappen. You said Piastri, Norris, Leclerc. And your dad said George.
George. Oh, God, hang on a minute.
It was George Leclerc and Hülkenberg, I think.
Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli. So my dad got 1 point. Which currently leads our standings with me with 9, my dad with 7, and you with 5. Again, only one bang-on podium will change that up.
Next race, where are we?
Austria. I didn't put that on there, but it's another 3 p.m. start.
Right, what are we saying? Predictions.
I say we do the prediction next week.
Yeah, let's do the predictions next week.
I think...
Well, you know what? Good episode as always, thank you.
It's been fun.
We've fixed, hopefully we'll listen to, but I've worked my ass off this week to fix all the audio issues, all the video issues. Like,
it's one of them.
It's one of them ones where like it's me and Dom and we do everything. Like we're not like a lot of other podcasts where we've got big teams and we've got basically 3 jobs between us.
Well, we do this. We have to get this done. We run an events company. We're both full-time DJs.
We've then also got track and project cars.
Yeah, and
like it's
everything else that we do.
A life.
I was gonna say, and a social life.
Yeah, so it's
don't feel like we've got a social life at the minute.
Right, trust me, I fucking don't. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. Dom, where can we find you?
You can find me at DJ Dom Cook on whatever you want.
You can find me at Sentio Silvano on absolutely everything. You can find the pod
at box pod on everything but Twitter because there's some dickhead.
There's always some dickhead. As always, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week as we
I don't know what the topic's going to be, but
we've already discussed this.
Oh no, yeah, that's like a short section.
Mate, you say it's going to be a short section. I reckon it's going to be like a 40-minute episode at least.
I mean, that one section alone, I mean, we could cover that in a couple of minutes. You've got to remember that Steak have never been on the podium.
Okay, well, we'll see where we are. On that, thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.